everyone, and welcome to DreamWeaving Technique and Fitness class number 3. Today we're going to be focusing on stretching. And a lot of people say, well, why do I need to stretch? You know, what does stretching do for me? It's boring, I don't like it, but stretching is actually a really important part of self-care and taking really good care of your body. So some of the benefits of stretching are increased flexibility and joint range of motion. And a lot of people think, well, but I'm not an athlete, I'm not very active, but this can even help simple things like bending over to pick things up off of the ground, reaching to get something out of the cupboard. So this is not just for athletes, this is for everybody. Stretching is very beneficial for people of all ages. The second thing that stretching is good for is improved circulation. When we stretch, we get lubrication of our joints, toxins get released from the body and then flushed out. So stretching is really good to help with increased circulation. The other thing that stretching is good for is better posture. When our muscles are flexible and relaxed, we're able to stand up taller, have better alignment within our spine. The tighter muscles get, particularly in our low back and in our legs, that can form this type of thing. So stretching is really good for helping posture. Stretching is also really good for stress relief. I'm sure none of you are stressed, right? No, not at all. So it's really good to help to kind of unwind, literally, get that stress out of there and to help our bodies be healthy. And another thing for stretching is enhanced coordination. It's really good to help our balance, even just walking, side to side motion, all that type of stuff. Any type of movement, stretching is really good for. Some things to remember about stretching. You always want to warm up first. You never want to stretch as your warm-up. And some people think that, oh, well, I stretch, that's my warm-up. But that's a big no-no. If you don't warm up first with some light jogging, walking even, intestine movements that Dr. Denise talked about, that can lead to injuries. We don't want injuries, so you always want to make sure you do some light warm-up first before you stretch. You also want to have slow, deep breaths when you're stretching. What that does is it allows your body to relax and actually work into the stretch. You don't want to bounce. Okay, sometimes we see people when they bounce, they try to get more range of motion that way. That too can lead to injury. So again, you want it to be fluid. Okay, you want it to be gentle. And okay, stretching shouldn't hurt. If you feel pain, you either need to back off, okay, and don't stretch as much, or maybe stop that stretch altogether if it's just too much for your body to handle, okay? And that's kind of the beautiful thing about stretching and yoga, is that it's really good for just to kind of see where you are within yourself and kind of learn where those boundaries are. You also want to stretch both sides. You want to stretch front and back, okay, and left to right. If you stretch your hamstrings, for example, you always want to make sure you want to stretch your quad, okay? So front and back, and then left to right. Whatever you stretch on your right side, you want to be sure to stretch on your left side. And you also want to stretch before and after any kind of, strenuous activity. So, as I said before, you want to warm up, then you can do some light stretching before your activity. And then afterwards, you can do some more rigorous stretching because then your body is really warmed up and it's ready to have some more rigorous stretching that doesn't, unlike before, where you just want it to be light, kind of get your muscles, wake them up, say, hey, I'm about to do this. And then the last thing, of course, you want to have fun. Okay, stretching can be fun. If you work at it and you pay attention and you're aware. It doesn't have to be all serious and, zen-like, although it can be zen-like and fun at the same time. Okay? So, we are going to go ahead and get started. Let me turn my mic on. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is, like I said, we want to warm up. Dr. Denise talked about intestine movements. So if we're going to do intestine movements, remember how we want to have everything lined up. We want to have our focus on our power center. So find your belly button, make that triangle just below your belly button and inward, about 2 inches. That's your dantian or your danjong or your hara, depending on what practice you're studying, but that's your power center. And when we do intestine movements, what we want to do is we want to bring our intestines up 45 degrees and out. So it's just in, out. Make sure your knees are slightly bent. We're only going to do 30. This might be somewhat difficult if you're just learning, and that's okay. Just do as many as you can. And you only want to move your stomach. I'm not pushing in with my hands. So I'm already sweating. So I'm starting to get warmed up. So because we're limited in space, okay, I'm not going to walk outside, I'm not going to take you with me. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to jog in place. Just lightly. You can make it fun. Like I said, you can go in circles. Either way. Again, the point of this is just to get your muscles warmed up so that when we stretch, we're not going to pull anything or strain anything too much. You can get your knees up if you want a little bit more. Want to be a little bit more active. Okay, we might do some jumping jacks. We'll just do about 10 of those. Okay, another thing you can do, you can also do sun salutations. We're not going to do any of those today, but sun salutations, either the A style or V style, those also are really good for waking up and warming up your muscles. Okay, so we're just going to kind of work top to bottom. We're not going to be standing the whole time. We are going to be seated for a part of this. So the first thing, kind of put your feet together. And in yoga, they talk about the 4 points of your feet. So you don't want to have too much weight. You don't want to be leaning forward on your toes. You don't want to be leaning backwards on your heels. Just want to be nice and centered. Just be aware of your posture. You know, are you slanting or slouching, which I tend to do? Just kind of be aware. And we're just going to start off with some neck rolls. And go slow. Remember, nice deep breaths. And we're going to go the other direction. And gently let your head go forward. Relax your shoulders. Gently back. To the right. And to the left. Okay. Next we're going to kind of just roll our wrists so you can stay like this. You can move your feet apart if you want to, about shoulder width apart, whatever's comfortable. So just hold your hands out. Just gently rotate your wrists. And go the other direction. shoulders. Remember to breathe, don't hold your breath. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to stretch our triceps. So our tricep muscles, okay, are right here. And if you think about what the triceps do, they are an extension, okay, so extending. If you think about it also in terms of boundaries, helping to create boundaries, okay, this motion, so that's what we're doing. We want to stretch our triceps. So you just bring your arm across, bring your left arm up, and pull. You want to be actively pulling. You don't just want to be standing here like this, okay, that doesn't do anything. You actually want to pull. You can do this, you can do this. I prefer this. Remember to breathe. Again, you want to feel it stretching, but it should not be painful. If it's painful, just let up a little bit. Shake it out. Now we're going to do the other side. So same thing, bring your left arm around, lock it in, and pull. You might also feel this in your deltoid, and in your back, in your latissimus dorsi muscle, and release. So we did the triceps, so next we have to do the front, right? We have to do the biceps. So I used to be a teacher, and so when I taught 3rd grade, it was, okay, you're carrying a pizza. So you've got your hand flat, you just kind of come up and down, and just gently, I'm just gently pulling on my fingers. You're going to feel this in your forearm as well as your bicep. And the harder you pull, the more of a stretch you'll get. So again, if it's too much, just relax. Okay, shake it out. Left side. Hold the pizza, come up, curve down and around. Kind of freakish this way. I have double jointed elbows. And release that. Okay, the next one we're going to do is we're going to move into our shoulders, okay, and our deltoids. So what we're going to do is just clasp our hands, and I'll turn to the side so you can see this. There are a couple ways you can do this. You can keep your hands together and press down. So this is going to stretch our deltoids and our pectoral muscles, okay, our chest muscles. You can also do this with your hands. That stretches. If you start to push up, you're going to get more of a stretch within your pectoral muscles. In yoga, sometimes what will happen is you'll bend forward. That's an option as well. Okay, and release. So we did shoulders and chest. Now we're going to do our back. Okay, we're going to do a yoga pose here. 2 stances, feet together or feet apart, or whatever is comfortable for you. So I like to do feet together, so that's what I'm going to go with. Again, I want to pay attention to those 4 points on my feet. I don't want to put too much pressure on my toes, and I don't want to be leaning back. I want to try just to be balanced. So I'm going to inhale up. Exhale, drop my left arm and curve. Now, one mistake that gets made, and I still do it too, is I have to remind myself, I'm not stretching here, okay? I'm actually trying to stretch through here. So I want to try to concentrate on extending, but not necessarily up through here, but through here, through my intercostals. And it looks easy, but it can hurt at times. Where should I be looking? I can look up, or I can look forward. It's up to you. Somebody inhale up, and exhale to the other side. Inhale up, exhale, let your arms just fall. Okay? Now we're going to move to our legs. So, hands on our hips, that right foot forward, put that left foot out about 45 degrees. Make sure your hips are facing forward as much as possible. Okay? We're going to inhale up, swan dive down. Now, this is one of those poses where you don't want to push it. If this is all the farther you can go, then that's great. That's as far as you need to go. You can go farther, that's fine. Some people might want to use a yoga block. You can rest your hands on your shins, whatever's comfortable. The other thing you don't want to do is let this left hip sort of hike up. You want to try to keep that hip down. And remember to breathe. That definitely helps with this pose. Gently come up. So what we're stretching, okay, we're stretching these muscles back here. There are a lot of muscles that run back through here. Okay, the biceps femoris, the semimembranous, semitendinous, our abductors and adductors. Okay, our stability muscles get worked on too, but this is our hamstring, right? So those are the ones we're working on. So again, feet together, left foot forward, right foot out about 45 degrees. Turn, facing front, inhale up, and exhale down. As you're breathing, try to fill in your lungs starting at the bottom and work your way up. Remember, don't let this right hip hike up. Try to keep it down. Then that front knee and gently come up. Okay, so we stretched our hamstrings. Right now we're going to stretch our quadriceps. Okay, again, quadriceps have several muscles. Okay, all running through here. Got the sartorius muscle runs down through here, our abductors and our adductors in here and out here. So this one can be kind of tricky. So if you need a chair, which sometimes I do, because my balance isn't very good at times, that's perfectly fine. So most of your weight, say about 80% on that left foot. Think about what you're doing, try to concentrate, okay? Trick I used to tell my students, concentrate on your belly button, that helps your balance. You can also concentrate on your danjong, okay? Because that's your power center. Concentrate on that. You just gently want to lift. You can hold with one hand, you can hold with two. You want to keep that knee facing downward. Okay, you don't want to be doing this. That's bad for the knee and it's bad form. Again, you want to watch your posture. 100% on that right foot. Gently bring that left foot up. You can hold with one hand or two. It's really kind of a personal preference. Whatever you want is up to you. And gently release. Okay, so we've done hamstrings, we've done our quads. Okay, now we're going to have a seat. We're going to go back to our hamstrings, and the reason being is that when our hamstrings are tight, that often contributes to low back pain that a lot of people suffer from. So what you want to do is you want to be facing, again, facing front. You're going to pull that left leg in as far as you can. Again, whatever's comfortable. If this is comfortable, that's fine. So we're going to bring that left leg in. This right leg is pointing straight out. You don't want it out to the side. Okay, you want it right in the front. You also want the leg that's facing out. You want your toes pointing up. Okay, you want them flexed. Okay, if I said point, I mean this. If I say flex, I mean this. Okay? What you also want to do is make sure that you're pressing down, not with your hands, but with your leg. You want your thigh to be actually pressing against the ground. Watch your posture. Take a deep breath in, lengthen your spine, and gently fall forward. Now, this is kind of the tricky part. What you want to do is you want to keep your back as straight as possible. You don't want to curve. Okay, a lot of times I can curve and I can do this. I don't want my back to curve. Okay, I want it to stay. I want my spine to be as straight as possible. And as I do this, as I'm also pushing down, I want to pretend like my belly button is actually moving forward, not down, but forward. And with each exhale, then you can try to get a little bit more depth, and that goes with all the stretches. Okay, on the exhale is when you want to try to push yourself a little bit. Again, it shouldn't hurt. Release. Shake it out a little bit. Next side. Bring that right foot in, again, as far as it'll go. Make sure this left foot facing forward, toes are pointing up. Push that hip or that thigh down. Inhale up. Lengthen your spine and exhale and fold forward. That. So we did single leg, now we're going to do both legs at the same time. So same thing, pressing those thighs down into the ground. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, and fold forward. If you have a strap at home too, you can put a strap around the balls of your feet, hold on to that. That also works. You may also feel this in your low back. Okay, maybe in your upper back as well, into your trapezius muscles. Next one we're going to do is going to work on these muscles in here, particularly in here. You want to bring your feet in again, whatever's comfortable. If out here is comfortable and that's as far as you can go, that's perfectly fine. You want to bring them in, You can do this stretch a couple of ways. You can take your fingers, latch around your toes, or you can take your thumbs and kind of put them right under the balls of your feet. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of open them like a book. So we're going to inhale, lengthen our spine, and as we exhale, we're going to use our elbows to press down on our legs. Again, you want to try to keep your spine straight. So for this next one, I turn my mat sideways so that you can get a better idea of what I'm doing here. Okay. So this next stretch is really good for the gluteus muscles, the piriformis, your IT bands that run down the sides here. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to lay on our backs. And I'm going to keep my knees bent, going to put my right foot over my left knee. I'm going to raise up, grab through and underneath, and just pull. So this is actually stretching my right side. Breathe. And release. We're going to switch sides. So my left foot over my right knee. Brings up. And then we gently pull. Again, you might notice that one side is tighter than the other. My left side is much tighter than my right. And that's okay. It's just good to be aware. Next one we're going to do is the pretzel, as my students used to call it. Turn my mat back around. This stretch can get a little tricky. So, got both of my knees bent. What I'm going to do is take my left hand, go underneath, grab my right ankle, pull it through. Now for some of you, this might be far enough, and that's perfectly fine. For others, we're going to place this foot on the other side of our knee. Okay, so again, kind of like pretzel. My left hand goes right back behind my gluteus for support. I want my back to be straight. I'm going to inhale my arm up, exhale, and push. If that's not enough, you can reach through. That gets more of a stretch. You want to try to keep your back open, or keep your chest open and your back straight. This is a good one to breathe on.